Well, hello everyone. I'm very pleased to be here to share some of my thoughts with you this evening. And first, let me introduce myself, my background briefly, and then move into what I mean by sustainability beyond science and technology. Who is this cute boy? It's me. When I was 13 years old, I dreamed of going into space because the first man to fly into space, the Russian Yuri Gagarin, inspired me. I was so excited when watching the TV news that I asked my brother to take a picture of me together with Yuri Gagarin. By the way, on the screen, Yuri Gagarin is this person. And I remember Gagarin said in space that this planet is beautiful, shining blue. I really wanted to become an astronaut. However, at that time, to become an astronaut, you have to be either Russian or American. Therefore, with a sigh, I had to give up my childhood dream and develop a more realistic dream of being a scientist. Years later, I was involved in a nuclear fusion research project whose purpose was to create an artificial sun on Earth to solve energy problems. One day, I heard the news that the government was recruiting candidates to become the first Japanese astronauts, people who conduct microgravity weightlessness experiment in space. I was very excited and applied immediately. It took almost 2 years in the selection process. It was really lucky for me to be selected as the first Japanese astronaut among so many applicants. I kept that target in front of me, and with the help of many, many great people, I was able to reach for the stars and finally catch my dream. It took almost 30 years after I had a dream of being an astronaut when watching TV news.
15,
Countdown is going.
11, 10, 9, 8, 7. We have a go for main engine start. 4,
Here's the
3,
launch.
2, 1. Booster ignition and liftoff of Space Shuttle Endeavour on a 21st century mission, placing Earth back on the map.
The speed is accelerated faster and faster, and finally reached 8 kilometers per second or 30,000 kilometers per hour to orbit the planet. And we wanted to have a deeper connection by having people on Earth experience space, so we created the first live broadcast called Classroom in Space. These students from my hometown school participated, and it was my great pleasure to have a live, real-time interaction with them.
This is Endeavour. The JPS is standing by.
スペースシャトルから声が聞こえてきました。
We
いよいよ宇宙
played
事業の始まりです。
real-time classroom between ground and space.
モーリさん。
As my hometown is famous for producing apples, I demonstrated to catch an apple thrown from the ground. I gave real-time science classes on microgravity and also videotape many demonstration experiments to share with all students in Japan. I really enjoyed this play. And my most important task in space were to conduct research experiments proposed by many scientists of the world. And here I was noting how a frog responded to microgravity, weightlessness in space. This is one of my favorite demonstrations, as Japan's cherry blossoms are an important part of our culture. Watch how a cherry blossom bird behaved with the water sphere. I was curious as a scientist. Would the bird bloom or being kept outside? The result was beautiful, fully bloomed in space. Another play. This experiment is only possible in weightlessness. I explored the space environment twice and then challenged it, another alien environment for play. On the ground, that is the deep sea. I myself dove in the Shinkai 6500 and observed a unique deep sea environment going down. No light penetrates such deep water. It's pitch dark, like space. Here we reached 6,500 meters exactly. We used a manipulated arm to collect floor-bed samples. To search for living organisms in the deep sea, we carried fish for bait. At such depth, shrimp came to pick up the fish. Just imagine under 650 atmospheric pressure. I'm always impressed with how much great potential earthbound life species have. Yet another exploration, the southern polar cap. We decided to create the first live broadcast from Antarctica that featured the total eclipse of the sun. And that was broadcast nationwide. This is another play. And then we returned to Antarctica. At that time, a live internet link-up was very rare. We simultaneously connected 3 science museums with us in Antarctica. We conducted the same graphic experiments in 4 different locations in the world. We used identical equipment to measure dust particles contained in the air at each location to understand the environment and air pollution of the planet.
My name is Dr.
Another play.
Working in Antarctic science.
Now, I have the pleasure of working as the Chief Executive Director of Miraikan, a science center focused on the latest science and technology. By the way, Mirai means future in Japanese. Kan means house. Here is a preview. Another play. Three things make Miraikan unique. First, every exhibition is conceived, created, and overseen by a team of active scientists. Scientists enjoy play. Second, Miraikan has real scientists on the floor engaging the visitors in dialogue. We call them science communicator, and we train them to improve their potential abilities in order to create innovative activities by means of science and technology and share them with all areas of society to enjoy another play for them in society. Third, we have 10 laboratories within Miraikan doing cutting-edge researches in diversified field of science. So we consider Miraikan much more than just a museum. We consider Miraikan to be a science center. We also have many events and workshops as a play, in addition to 3 unique activities. Happiness on Earth was an international project in which young high school students from Asia shared their visions of what makes happiness by science and technology, and then collaborated to create a visual expression of those ideas. We need visionaries with creative solutions for global issues, as well as visions for the future. This Visionary Camp project has been just launched this month. Research starts with a vision, followed by experimentation. Visionaries provide ingenious innovations that engage people to take action. This new approach in co-creation and innovation in society has been encouraging the interaction between young adults and scientists and attracting global companies' co-sponsorship. We expand another play. I'm happy to announce here that Aramco's participation in Miraikan activities. Our agreement exchange between myself and Aramco's representative director, Mr. Omar Al-Amdi. We are grateful for their continued support for the special exhibition with the subject of Anthropocene entitled Digging the Future. This is the premiere performance of Digging the Future. We continually seek to incorporate all areas of society and create partnerships with what many would consider the most unlikely groups. Here, scientists, animation specialists, and even rap artists collaborated in creating this exhibit. Now you can hear Japanese rap lyrics. See the animation all based upon science, depicting what our current generations of life will leave as a layer in the sediment. The message tells you what is the meaning of human existence on this planet as Anthropocene, and how it will be evaluated far into the future when aliens may visit our planet and discover our existence through digging and excavating. Very thin layer of our existence. Miraikan has enjoyed a good relationship with Saudi Arabia. Here you can see examples of Saudi Arabia events featuring Saudi students in Japan and Saudi Arabia who participated in functions at Miraikan. 2 years ago, Miraikan hosted the Science Center World Summit 2017 under the theme of Connecting the World for a Sustainable Future. The summit is a gathering of the members of the World Science Museum networks, along with a wide variety of stakeholders from societies and supported by numerous international organizations. 98 countries were represented with over 800 participants. Tokyo's summit proposed the Tokyo Protocol that science museums' activities should meet the United Nations SDGs. Miraikan's vision, proposed in 2011, right after our disaster of earthquake and explosion of nuclear fusion power plants, state that for 10 billion people to sustain their lives on Earth, Miraikan designed, develops, and delivers science communication activities to all with the goal of discovering solutions to global challenges by collaborating with science museums and other stakeholders around the planet. Miraikan's mission coincides with the United Nations SDGs. We believe museums around the world should play a new role towards human sustainability. Our global approach, if we sustain Earth, we can then sustain the human species, is enthusiastically welcomed and supported by world leaders. They have shown sincere interest through their visits, now becoming global play. Last month, the American actor Brad Pitt, as you know, came to Miraikan to talk about the newest movie that embraces the human condition and science through space exploration in celebration of Japan Space Day, September 12th, the day of my first space flight. When I mention space exploration gifts for a sustainable future, many people puzzles. So let me explain. The International Space Station was developing through the collaboration between 16 countries. This was the first human collaborative achievement to build a research laboratory in space by challenging and overcoming many difficulties. Let me show you how the human species is identified from space. Earth is so beautiful. This wondrous Earth is floating in the utter blackness of space. This Earth has existed with a multitude of life for almost 4 billion years. In daytime, no human activity can be seen, except in snow areas. When we orbited the northern hemisphere, we flew over the Asian continent, and I saw many black dots on the white snow. The bigger the dots, the more the people. Very big black areas had millions of people. The darker dots result from burning coal, and that changes the color of human environments as seen from space. In North America and Europe, for example, dots were less dark because of using other than coal as energy. Nighttime and human existence is clearly visible. I first saw these magnificent sights in 1992 with just 5.5 billion people on Earth. And now our species exceeding 7.6 billion, even more lights. In addition to the orange illumination, what you are seeing from space of the planet is beautiful and deadly. and forever changed my life. This is what I saw as the Space Shuttle flew through the aurora. And keep in mind, the aurora is a result of deadly solar winds. That's not what changed my life. It was the thin, delicate atmosphere that covers and protects Earth from dangers of cosmic radiation and allows all life to exist. Humans exist as a result of Earth's environment. This graph shows a variation of average temperature of the Earth within 100,000 years. We have been lucky over the last 10,000 years as the average temperature has been warm and steady, called the Holocene period. Our ancestors existed in Ice Age of more than 100,000 years and survived by following migrating animals, thus living without a settlement. Those humans suffered shortages of food in a freezing environment all the time. The Holocene period allowed our species to invent agriculture, and so to live in a permanent place. This provided a unique, sustainable lifestyle that separated the human species from other life forms. Since agriculture, the human population increased and has greatly accelerated in recent decades due to many advances, particularly from science and technology. A new era began when the human species acquired a global view from space, as it convinced us that our planet is the only environment we have to sustain our species. Then, at the beginning of this century, we had a genomic view on the atomic level. That convinced us the human species is not so special among the diversified Earthbound life forms from the viewpoint of DNA sequence. Now, Earth is hitting humans with hard reality. Artificial intelligence is creating a super nature and a super reality. We need measure to deal with these in order to sustain humanity. Science and technology provide a new perspective, the tsunagari of life, which means in Japanese, establishing a relationship with the network of life over time. It starts with every life form consisting of cells, and for living cells to be sustained, they need atmosphere, light, and temperature. We now move to the individual human, and I call that tsunagari of individual. The individual tsunagari sustains the individual with the essence of life, food, air, water. But the individual's lifespan is only around 100 years at the most. To continue, we need the tsunagari of societies with the goal of sustaining human life. A human society is made up of many cultures, such as religion, military, politics, business, to name a few. No one culture alone can sustain a society. Rather, each culture contributes to the whole. This society concept worked quite well until humans started having major impact on our planet. Now we are aware of global problems that affect all life, just as no one individual can sustain a society. No one society can sustain our planet. To sustain our human species, we must sustain the natural environment of Earth, so we must progress to the tsunagari of the planet of life. a transformation designed to sustain all life through the integration of all combined wisdom from all societies by means of science communication. It is important to realize that humans are just one of over 50 million life forms. All are connected through the global environment, through biodiversity, sustainability, symbiosis, and the genome. In order to bring all this together, we need a fresh perspective, a global wisdom of our Earth, thereby ensuring the sustainability of our human race. We can work towards sustaining this phenomenal Earth environment, our home, our planet of life, and thus sustain our species. I leave you with this image that always gives me hope. It is from the moon-orbiting Japanese satellite called Kaguya. We call this Earthrise. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mohri. All right, I would love to open up the floor for questions for Dr. We have
so
the
many.
over here in the middle with a question.
Okay. 1, 2, and 3. Yes.
Hello. Yeah. Thank you so much for the talk. But hearing about all your experiences that you've went through, I have a question about what lessons have you learned through all these different experiences?
Nice.
That's correct. Yes, because I challenged something extreme environment. So probably I could acquire that kind of idea.
Nice. We have one more question here. Then we'll go to that one.
Thank you so much for being here, and it's great to see Asimo featured in some of your presentation as well. I was just wondered, global governments around the world are really, stepping up to the plate somewhat according to climate change and the agreements, but how important is it for the private sector to also contribute to climate change as well?
That's very big question and important for future of our human sustainability. Well, climate change, for example, cutting-edge science alone cannot solve because dynamics of culture, nations, and group of some business people, a lot of conflicts. So I've got an idea. Well, AI, artificial intelligence, that will be developed.
Nice.
Then that can predict exactly, which country or which region produces carbon dioxide and what season, what time, and which company. Then probably we have to follow what AI will tell us. Well, we believe in God, but the same thing, science is a kind of common knowledge that are facts-based, so that we trust science. AI is a product of science. So probably not far future, but AI may be able to, give us a clue for that, and hopefully we can solve this problem. And younger generation, surely we will be able to overcome.
Nice. Yes.
Hopefully.
Any more questions? We have a question there, and we will conclude with the last question here.
Hello. Hi. I just wanted to ask, have astronauts and people who work in the space found a planet that humans can live in the future?
Another planet that humans can live in the future, other planets.
Very good question again. Well, in my experience, it's not easy to live outer planet. I mean, like a moon or the Mars. It's okay as a tourist to have a look, as a scientist to research. But generation to generation, if human beings live in such a planet, we have to take all life forms bound on this Earth. I experienced something, example. When Space Shuttle landed on the Kennedy Space Center, hatch opened, then fresh air came in. I felt very much at home. Why? I could smell of swamp and, Kennedy Space Center has a lot of animals and my fellow astronaut waiting for our landing handed me a chilled glass of water. I drank it. So tasty. Why? Because in space, everything is artificial. Even water. Space Shuttle carries fuel cell. Do you know what's fuel cell? Fuel cell is, we take hydrogen and oxygen and using catalysis, we get electric power from that chemical reaction. As a byproduct, we get H2O, water. And in space, we drink that just pure water, H2O, tasteless. And then, in space, everything is artificial, no life other than human we take over there.
Nice.
So my experience, feeling, if you live in Mars or the moon, you have to take many life forms with you. I don't think that is possible. Instead, the ultimate goal of exploring space is not to reach other planet. Rather, we, I think, look back the precious environment of space. Yuri Gagarin, first human into space, and he said, Earth is beautifully shining. And every astronaut so far flew, probably you can ask any astronaut, they all say, Earth is so beautiful. Why is that? Because Earth is the only place we can live.
Nice. Hey, we promised one more question. We're a little bit over time, but that would be our final questions.
Hello, Dr. Mohri. Thank you for your inspiring remarks. If you have a single advice to humanity from space, what would you say?
Well, your life is important, but your life is also connected to every life form on this planet. With the history of 4 billion years, you are one of life forms.
With that, thank you so much, Dr. Mohri. I think you've inspired us all to be more cautious about everyday life so that we can save our precious planet.
I enjoyed it very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.